The stone which the builders rejected became the head of the corner. Every civilization has builders or psychological architects. In China, Confucius brought forth or gave full expression to a shame-based society. Judaism and later Christianity brought forth guilt-based societies as the social capital or immaterial spiritual glue which holds phenomenological reality together. We therefore have something of a dichotomy of civilizations and a dialectic somewhere between guilt and shame. There are no liars in China, it is sometimes said, because lying presupposes the subjective Christian notion of self-accountability and conscience. The Chinese mind does not ask, is this right or wrong? But rather, will others perceive it to be right or wrong? And at worst, simply, what can I get away with? If you think this is a ethnocentric comment, a xenophobic comment, then simply take a trip to China. If you consider the way they drive over there, it is okay, as a rule of thumb, to drive wherever you want. There are lanes and roads, but these rules are more like guidelines. In Britain, on the other hand, people never do this. They never go through red lights, or very seldom, very, very seldom, even when there is no police, because it makes them feel bad inside, and they're conditioned not to do so. We can therefore say that the mental architecture of Christendom is an architecture which is internal to the mind of the individual. On the other hand, the psychological architecture of the Orient is one which is external, or social and between different agents. The Arabic world has somewhat of a combination both between external face culture and internal conscience culture in Islam. We can also say that modern China is not materialistic, as is often said. Materialism is a culture which aims towards, at its ultimate end, the integration of all moral expression through the medium of a market. China surpasses base materialistic values, insofar as materialism is only valued instrumentally in China, insofar as it reinforces the ancient Confucian ideology of face. Materials are not consumed in and for themselves, but rather as a means to bolster one's public prestige. This is not the same as the American dream, which is a positively motivated ideology toward material excellence, so-called. But for the Chinese, on the other hand, the face which materialism affords the individual, is primarily achieved through negative motivational drivers, vis-a-vis fear and shame of being inferior to one's peers in the community. This differs greatly from the American social aesthetic, which is built atop an earlier Protestant ethic of immaterial contentment. In this sense, materialism for the American is a bonus inspired by coveting and desire, and less through fear of shame from being poor, which does not impact the integrity of the American psyche beyond economic disadvantage. In China, to be without material affluence when one's peers are, is to commit spiritual suicide. And hence, we cannot say that China is materialistic, but rather expresses their deep and ancient culture of public shame through a thin veneer of its modern material economic function. The Chinese then are religious without knowing it, and Confucianism is their religion. Saving face is sacred. The evidence of this? Well, try and make a highly personalized joke to a Chinese person, even one you've known for years, and you'll soon find an elephant in the room. These jokes, or these sharing of one's humility and weaknesses, often become the building blocks for Westerners, a sign of deep friendship and a sign of sharing one's private self with other people. But such is not possible in Chinese and Asian culture.